All right, let's talk about some ACT common sense strategies you can use tomorrow. No geometry concepts needed. Obviously, understanding the geometry concepts would be great, but sometimes we forget. So these are some skills you can use. So right up here at the top, it says usually figures are drawn to scale. So a lot of times your geometry teacher will say in the classroom, you cannot assume figures are drawn to scale. Well, in the ACT, unless it specifically tells you, 9 times out of 10, and probably more like 99 times out of 100, the figures are drawn to scale. So you can use some guesstimation strategies to answer some of these questions. So let's look at number 37. This is number 37 off of an actual ACT question. Obviously, we've cut out a lot of the word problem and a lot of the extra parts of this diagram, and we're just focusing on the angle that the problem wants you to find. So what I always tell students to do is turn this kind of into a 90-degree angle. And what I mean by that is 90-degree angle is an L-shaped angle. So, and this will be a backwards L. So if I make an L kind of out of this angle, with that bottom side being one side, and I create this new vertical side, I can use that 90-degree angle to make a comparison of the angle we're trying to find. So the first thing that I notice is this looks like it's greater than half of that 90-degree angle. Like half to me would be more like right here. That's closer to half. So that means we can rule out 42 and 46. So if nothing else, you've completely forgotten how to solve this problem using geometry skills. You've at least given yourself a chance, a 33% chance of getting this correct answer. I encourage you to go and make an answer, guess C, D, or E for this problem, and see if you get it right here in just a minute. Number 3, same thing. We want to guess this angle. I want to compare it to a 90-degree angle. And again, to me, this looks like it's a little bit less than half this time. So I know it's not 80. I know it's not 65. 35, possibly 15. That to me seems a little bit smaller. So now we've narrowed our chance from a 1 out of 5 to a 1 out of 2. So we've increased our chances from 20% to 50% of getting this question right. Go ahead and make a guess on number 3. We'll talk about it in a second. Number 7. This one's a little trickier because to me this almost looks like an L-shaped angle. 90 degrees. This is where having a straight edge and kind of having the corner of your paper would help. So you could have an exactly a 90-degree angle, what that looks like, and compare it to this angle. To me, this looks like it's maybe a little bit less than 90 degrees, if I had to guess. Looks like it's just a little bit of a caved-in version of an L, at least in my mind. What I know it's not 40, I know it's not 57, and 77 probably seems too small as well. So this one, I feel like we can make a pretty good guess on what this is based on that it looks a little bit less than 90. And then finally, this last one, number 24 from an actual ACT, before we look at the actual questions. 90 degrees would be roughly this. It's not a perfect. That's why that piece of paper would be helpful. You could have a perfect 90-degree angle. This is an L that's a little more obtuse. So obviously we've gone over 90 degrees with this angle. So we know it's not 76. We know it's not 90. 152 seems way too big. And honestly, 142 seems too big as well. Make your guess on that one. So now let's look at the actual questions and answer these real quickly. Number 37, the actual question. So remember, we ruled out in this question 42 and 46. So since these triangles are similar, they tell us these triangles are similar, that means the angles are congruent. So this angle up here is going to be 42 degrees. And we know these two angles are going to be congruent because this is an isosceles triangle. So to find the missing angles, we're going to take 180 and subtract 42. And we get 138. And then we're going to divide that by 2, since there's two congruent angles. 138 divided by 2 should be 69 degrees. So you may not have gotten it right using the guessing strategy here, but you've at least increased your chances. And over the long run, that will make a difference if you don't remember the way to solve it using traditional geometry. All right, number 3 from the ACT December 2016 exam. What is the value of x? So remember, on this one, we ruled out 80, we ruled out 65, and we ruled out 15. So we had it down between B and C. So we'll see if you got it right. So the angle right below 100 is going to be 80 because these two angles form a linear pair. And then the third, x is the third angle of a triangle. So to find the third angle of a triangle, if we know the first two, we're just going to subtract the two known angles. So 180 minus 80 minus 65, that is 35. And to me, this is one you could guess. If you're good at estimating and you match it up with a 90-degree angle, 35, this one you have a good chance of getting right just guessing. 37 was a little trickier. All right, number 7. Finding this angle. This is the one that we thought looked just less than 90. So we definitely ruled out these 3 here. We had it between 77 and 83. In this problem, we've got two congruent triangles here. So if angle B is 40 degrees, so is angle D. So that means the missing angle is the third angle of a triangle. So we're going to solve this just like we did the last one. 180 minus 57 minus 40, and that gives us 83. Again, that's one you probably could guess correctly. And ultimately, guessing the geometry way is ultimately better, but guessing is also quicker in most cases. Keep that in mind. All right, finally, this problem: in Middletown, Main Street and Market Street are parallel to each other. Patrick Street intersects Market Street to form a 76-degree angle. What is the measure of the angle formed at the southeast corner of Main and Patrick? So southeast corner, this angle here. And we ruled out, really, we guessed that this was 104, I think is what we narrowed this down to, because it looks like it's just barely bigger than 90 degrees. And it is. Like 104 is the correct answer, because Main Street and Market Street are parallel. That means 76 and this unknown angle are supplementary. So this unknown angle we'll call x. That means x plus 76 equals 180. We subtract 76 from both sides, and we get x equals 104 degrees.